It's late again, and I'm still awake, sitting by the window where your shadow used to stay. The city hums below me, slow and cold, and every sound reminds me of a story left untold. Your cup is still here on the table by the light, dust collecting softly like the quiet in the night. I trace the rim the way I once traced your skin. It's strange how empty something feels when it once felt like a home within. I try to write it down, all the things I never said, but the ink keeps breaking where the memories end. Every line hurts more than the one before, like I'm writing to someone who doesn't live here anymore. These are pages I never sent, words that bleed from good intent. Every sentence breaks a bit of me, every memory cuts too deep. If love is something we outgrow, why does your voice still echo so low? I keep writing what I can't forget, pages I never sent. Tonight your sweater slipped from the back of the chair. I held it for a moment just to feel you in the air. It smelled like winter, and the nights we stayed inside, laughing in the pillows, pretending we had nothing to hide. But you loved with caution, and I loved with fire. Your silence grew louder while my hope grew tired. I kept waiting for a sign, anything at all, but all I heard were the softest footsteps walking toward the fall. If heartbreak had a color, it would match this room. Soft fading ghost swallowed by the gloom. I write your name slowly, then cross it again, trying to let go or never learn to begin. These are pages I never sent, words that break where the truth was bent. Every promise turns to smoke, every goodbye feels like a joke. If time could heal what we outgrew, why does it still hurt to think of you? I keep writing what I can't forget, pages I never sent. Maybe someday you'll find what I couldn't be, someone steady, someone lighter, someone free. But if you ever wonder why I walked away, just know I stayed longer than my own heart could stay. These are pages I never sent, letters folded with regret. I leave them here in the quiet room, a soft confession sealed in gloom. If loving you was heaven, then losing you was punishment. Still I write what I can't forget, pages I never sent. We didn't break in the middle of a scream, not in anger, not in some dramatic scene. It happened softly like a candle losing light, a quiet surrender falling through the night. You were sitting by the window, staring past the glass. I called your name gently, but the moment didn't last. Your eyes were somewhere I could never reach, a place where my love no longer had a seat. I felt the shift, the way the air changed tone. Two hearts in one room suddenly felt alone. No thunder, no storm, just a fading spark. It's strange how silence can tear you apart. That's when the room went quiet, when your heartbeat stopped matching mine. No words, no tears, just a truth we couldn't hide. Love leaving slow, one breath at a time. I tried to hold on, but your shadow slipped away, and all we had turned into empty space. That's the night I finally felt it, when the room went quiet. I poured you a drink, you didn't touch it all. You kept tracing circles on the table like you were lost. I joked about the future just to keep you near, but you smiled in a way that made the ending feel clear. We were two strangers wearing memories of skin, trying to look familiar in a place we no longer fit in. Your silence was gentle, but it cut so deep, a goodbye whisper without moving your lips to speak. Funny how heartbreak can move with grace, a soft rearrangement of the space. I reached for your hand, but you slipped away, and nothing I said could make you stay. That's when the room went quiet, when a warmth drained out of your eyes. No fight, no blame, just two people out of sync, pretending we didn't already memorize goodbye. I felt the truth settle heavy in the air, a moment too honest, too fragile to repair. That's the night I finally faced it, when the room went quiet. Maybe love doesn't die fast, maybe it fades slow, leaving pieces behind where the soft lights glow. And maybe we held on longer than we should, not because it worked, but because we wished it would. That's when the room went quiet, when us turned into two. You didn't need to say you were leaving, I could hear it in the silence between me and you. I let the moment break me just enough to feel alive, and watch the last of your love say goodbye. That's the night I finally accepted it, when the room went quiet. There was a time when your voice felt like home, and every word you spoke pulled me close. But lately your sentences fall soft and thin, like you're choosing what to say just to keep me from sinking in. You used to speak in colors, now it's all just gray. Every answer you give feels a lifetime away. I ask you how you feel, but your silence takes control. And I feel myself unravel in the spaces you don't hold. It's not the things you said that hurt the most tonight. It's all the things you never said but kept locked tight. Your quiet feels louder than any goodbye, a truth that trembles every time you sigh. These are the words you never chose, the love you didn't fight for, the truth you never showed. I kept holding on like a fool in the dark, pretending we were close while you drifted apart. Maybe I wanted something you couldn't give, I suppose, but my heart still breaks for the words you never chose. I replay our last night like a record gone. Every skip beat reminds me how fragile we become. You smiled in that way that felt more like a mask, and I could tell you weren't coming back the second you turned your back. Oh, I asked if you loved me, and you paused too long. And that hesitation told me everything that's wrong. You replied with a whisper I couldn't quite hear, like you were scared to say the truth with me still near. People think heartbreak comes from what's said aloud, but the softest wounds come from silence too proud. You didn't say you loved me, you didn't say you'd stay, and that told me more than any words you could have said anyway. These are the words you never chose, the promises left empty, the doors you slowly closed. I held on tight while you slid through the seams, turning quiet moments into broken dreams. Maybe love fades faster than either of us knows now, but I'm still haunted by the words you never chose. Maybe you were trying to spare me the pain, maybe you were searching for someone who felt the same, but silence has a way of telling the truth, more honest than anything spoken in a room built for two. These are the words you never chose. Goodbyes unsaid, the love that never rose. Didn't need us through the end and needing clear. So I'll close this chapter softly, letting go your ghost, still breaking for the words you never chose. used to count the ways you made me feel whole. Back when you held my heart like something you stole. But love should be an echo, something that returns. Yours was just a whisper, while mine was a flame that burned. I gave you all the warmth I knew how to give, built a home in myself where your memories could live. But you kept your distance, tucked behind your ribs, offering just enough love for me to forgive. Funny how the truth can hide in someone's eyes, how you can feel alone even lying by their side. I kept searching for you in the moments you withdrew, and every time I reach out, I reach right through. I loved you more than you returned, held on tighter than your heart ever learned. You gave me pieces while I gave you hope, hoping you would meet me somewhere in the soul. But love can't bloom where it's never earned. And I loved you more than you return. You kissed me softly, but your mind was always gone, like you were loving someone else inside all along. I kept reading between the lines you wouldn't say, trying to understand why your warmth slipped away. There were nights I stayed awake beside your sleeping form, tracing the shape of a love that never kept me warm. You said you cared, but your silence disagreed. Your heart needed something I could never be, and I realized too late what the imbalance meant. I was building futures while you just borrowed moments. You let me love you deeper than you could comprehend, and left me drowning in the effort I would always extend. I loved you more than you returned, gave you fire while your half-hearted love barely burned. You took comfort in the love I supplied, while I kept breaking where your distance lied. I held on tight while you stayed unconcerned. Yeah, I loved you more than you returned. Maybe it wasn't your fault, maybe we were mismatched. Maybe I loved too loudly, maybe your heart stayed attached to someone you lost, or someone you dreamed, someone that never looked anything like me. I loved you more than you returned, a lesson carved in the quiet where my heart yearned. Now I let the truth settle into my bones. Loving someone harder still leaves you alone, even though my chest still aches and burns. I loved you more than you returned. Some hearts echo, some never learn. I kept your picture on the dresser longer than I should. Stared at it some nights, pretending things were still good. But the truth lived quiet in the corners of the frame. You weren't the same person, and I wasn't the same. I tried to bring us back with every soft touch, but you backed away gently like I was asking too much. I couldn't hold the present, so I clung to what we'd been, loving the memory of you instead of who you were then. I whispered I miss you to the space where you'd sleep, but loving a ghost only cuts you deep. You were there beside me, but already gone, and I kept holding on to where the past felt strong. I've been loving you in past tense, holding on to moments that no longer made sense. You drifted forward while I stayed behind, searching for warmth in a colder time. If love can't fade without warning or defense, then I've been loving you in past tense. You'd smile politely when I reached for your hand, like you were somewhere else I couldn't understand. Your eyes didn't glow the way they used to before. Mine begged for connection, your search for the door. We kept pretending that we still fit right, two mismatched shadows trying to share the same night. I replayed old memories to feel close to you, but they hurt even more because they weren't true. I kept loving the you that lived in my mind, not the distant version. Time redesign. How do you hold on to someone who's gone when their body stays but their heart has moved on? I've been loving you in past tense, hoping the present would finally make amends. You changed quietly while I held my breath, trying to revive what time had left. If love fades soft and without pretense, then I've been loving you in past tense. Oh, maybe we both tried to say what couldn't survive, holding the pieces instead of cutting the ties. But loving someone who's already left inside is a slow kind of heartbreak that never subsides. I've been loving you in past tense, writing our ending in broken fragments. Now I'm learning to let go of the version of you I kept alive because I wanted it true. Maybe moving on is my only defense for loving you so long in past tense. Goodbye to the memory. You deserve the present tense, and so did I. Tonight I opened the journal where your name fills every page. Words written slow across months of quiet rage. Every line a memory I try to keep alive. Every paragraph a prayer that our love might still survive. But the ink feels heavy now, like it's tired of being pulled into stories where I give too much and you return so little. I read the entries slowly, watching us fall apart. Your absence growing louder in the spaces of my heart. There's a point where even love can't keep pretending, where holding on becomes the same as end. And I realize something soft but true. This diary is full, but not with you. This is the last note in my diary of you. The final line in the story I never meant to lose. I wrote through the silence, through the nights you withdrew, trying to capture a love you already outgrew. Now the pages close softly, as all things do. This is the last note in my diary of you. I flipped to the chapter where we still felt warm, where you smile at the room like shelter from a storm. I remember how I believed we'd make it through the pain, how I tried to build a future on a hope you couldn't sustain. You left your affection in whispers that faded fast. I tried to save moments meant never to last. I chased every memory like it held some kind of key, but each one unlocked another ache inside of me. Some stories end gently, some with a crack. Ours ended in the quiet where you stopped coming back, and I kept writing to pretend it wasn't true. But the diary won't lie, neither will you. Oh. This is the last note in my diary of you, where the sentences tremble but the heart pushes through. I try to rewrite endings that were never meant, held on to moments that time never spent. Now I let the ink dry where the truth bleeds through. This is the last note in my diary of you. Maybe one day I'll read this again with lighter eyes, see the lessons instead of the weight of goodbyes. But tonight I'm just tired from loving you alone, from writing chapters in a story that never found a home. This is the last note in my diary of you, a quiet farewell to a love we outgrew. I close the cover gently, breathing something new, a life that doesn't revolve around missing you. And though my heart still aches like paper torn in two, this is the last note in my diary of you. Good night to the memory. You don't belong on the next page. I used to feel your heartbeat, even when you were near. Now the spaces in between us fill the room with fear. You held me like a promise you were scared to keep. A warmth that felt borrowed, a love falling asleep. I waited for your touch like it meant something still. But the closer I moved, the colder you turned against your will. You kept your distance, wrapped soft in your chest, leaving me guessing if I was ever more than second best. Your silence said more than your words ever could, that I wasn't the one you loved the way you should. I only ever had half of you, the piece that stayed because leaving felt too cruel. Your heart wandered somewhere I couldn't get to, no matter how much I tried to break through. And the truth cuts deeper than it used to. I only ever had half of you. I held on to our moments like they meant we were fine, ignoring the signs hidden between every line. You kissed me softly like a habit you couldn't shake, a ritual of comfort, not a choice you'd make. I asked if you loved me and you paused too long. Your eyes drifted somewhere I never belong. I smiled through the ache just to keep you around, but loving someone halfway always drags you down. You didn't say goodbye, but I felt it all the same, in the way your heart whispered someone else's name. Only ever had half you, a shadow of a love that never fully grew. I reached for your warmth but slipped right through, breaking myself trying to love your truth. And now I finally see what I clung to. I only ever had half of you. Maybe I wanted more than you could ever give. Maybe I loved too deeply for the life you wanted to live. I only ever had half you, but I gave all of me thinking love would pull us through. Now I'm learning to let go of what I once knew, because half a heart can't stay true. You didn't need to speak to break me in two. Your silence cut sharper than any with through. I waited for an answer you never meant to give, and in that empty space I learned how heartbreak lives. Every night you grew quieter, piece by piece, until conversation felt like forcing release. I talked just to fill the gaps you left wide, but nothing echoes louder than the love you denied. You were disappearing in the gentlest way, not with a word but with a heart that wouldn't stay. Your silence hurt more than the truth, more than goodbye, more than losing you. I kept trying to read what you couldn't say, breaking slowly as you drifted away. If love fades soft, then yours was proof. Your silence hurt more than the truth. You looked at me like I reminded you of pain, like loving me was something you couldn't do again. I reached for your hand, but touched only air, and the absence felt stronger than the warmth once there. You said I'm just tired, but I knew what you meant. You were tired of fighting the love you couldn't represent. I clung to excuses just to soften the blow, but silence doesn't lie the way people do, you know. It's strange how someone can stay in the room yet feel gone enough to make your heart assume. Your silence hurt more than the truth, more than the words you never let loose. I begged for meaning when none remained, held on to hope that only left me drained. If heartbreak speaks, it speaks in you. Your silence hurt more than the truth. Maybe you thought silence was a gentle way out, but gentle can still shatter what love once held pride. Your silence hurt more than the truth, more than any goodbye you could've used. Now I'm learning to breathe without your way, letting go of the words you never stayed. If pain has a voice, it whispered through you. Your silence hurt more than the truth. Quiet doesn't heal, it just teaches you what's real.